All over the world, chanting of God's name in some form or the other is considered to be a panacea for human well-being. One such story has been told in Shrimadbhagavatam. It relates to one Ajamil who was a learned Brahman, well versed in the Vedas and Shastras, who later became derelict. Yet, at the time of his death, he was saved because he chanted the name of Narayana, who happened to be also the name of his son. The story has been told in a dramatic fashion in Srimad Bhagavatam. Stop whatever you are doing, ordered the divine messengers. You have no business to interfere with our activity, replied the messengers of Yamaraj. Doubtless you look like devatas. However, we too are carrying out the job assigned to us by our master. Referring to Ajamil, they said, this man's time for reckoning has arrived. We have arrived to ferry him to the court of Dharmaraj, who will decide what fate awaits him in Paralok, the other world. Ajamil was in distress. He was in the throes of death. In agony, he had shouted for his younger child named Narayana, who alone was in sight. He was a learned Brahman, well versed in the Vedas and Shastras. He was an embodiment of nobility, good behavior and virtue. He was truthful, devoted to his wife, and pure in thought. He could recite the holy mantras. He served his guru, his elders, and he always took care of his guests. He was untouched by pride. He wished everyone well. He worked for the welfare of mankind. He never found fault with others. He was a man of a few words. He lived the life of a contented grihastha and sired 10 sons. Ajamil belonged to Kanyakubj. He was respected by all as a model citizen. One morning, Ajamil at his father's instance went to the forest on the outskirts of his city to collect fruit, flowers, holy kusha grass and samida for performing a havan. On his way back, he noticed a drunkard shamelessly making love to a prostitute under a wayside tree. The woman too had imbibed a large quantity of liquor. Her eyes were wild with lust. Her clothes were in disarray. The couple was singing lewd songs and making unseemly conversation. Ajamil forgot his training and restraint. He looked at the couple. He could not take his eyes off the half-naked woman. His lust was ignited. He thought he had fallen in love. He lost his discretion and wisdom. Reaching home, he sent the prostitute a message requesting a meeting. Soon they became lovers. Ajamil carried to her lovely expensive clothes of Chinese silk. He presented her with gold ornaments studded with precious stones. He wanted to please her at any cost. He squandered his father's entire wealth for her delight, although he had no right over those riches. Ajamil's wife and children suffered as a consequence of this derelict behavior. His wife did not know how to feed her children. The husband was away every other night. He returned drunk in the early hours of the morning. Ajamil had forgotten the dharma. To support his mistress's large family, he started borrowing money. He sold his wife's ornaments. He gambled. He looted wayfarers. He committed thefts. He cheated those who trusted him. This evil person has violated all the rules laid down in the Shastras, said the messengers of Yamaraj. He deserves neither sympathy nor mercy. He is 88 years of age. He suffers from several diseases, of course. His fate would be decided by Dharmaraj after taking into account the deeds done by him in his entire life. We are here merely to carry him away from this body. Ajamil howled with pain. Death is mostly painful. The human organs fail one by one. His lungs were full of mucus. He could hardly breathe. Narayan! Narayan! He cried in agony. Call your mother. I am going. Call your brothers. Let them see me one last time. Ajamil shed tears of helplessness. He mourned. In his sickness, his mistress and her family had deserted him. She had reportedly taken another lover who could feed her. A call to Narayana never goes unanswered, said the divine messengers. Now this is a dialogue taking place, the messengers of Yamaraj and the messengers who have come from Narayana Vishnu. They were dressed in yellow silks. Their eyes were like lotus flowers and full of kindness. They all looked like Vishnu. I have included in this video a number of paintings of Vishnu. All of them wore golden crowns on their heads. Golden pendants dangled from their earlobes. Pink lotus garlands circled their necks. They looked more like Vishnu than his messengers. If you are divine messengers, we too have been sent by Dharmaraj. Please enlighten us why the orders of Dharmaraj should be countermanded. On our part, we shall tell you the attributes of Dharma and how punishment is awarded. Who is to be punished and who is to be spared? Are not all sinners liable to be punished for the sins committed by them, they asked. With this man we have a problem. The messengers of Yamaraj continued. The Vedas have clearly laid down what is dharma and what is adharma. We hear that the Vedas are the embodiment of Bhagavan. The human beings on this earth follow the three gunas, sattva, raj and tama. All their activities are witnessed by Surya, Agni, Akash, Vayu, Chandra, Sandhya, water, Prithvi, Kal and Dharma. If they violate their dharma, they are liable for punishment. The punishment meted by Dharmaraj is fair and proportionate to the evil deeds. A human being cannot live without doing his karma. Some of the actions are good, others undesirable. He is answerable for his misdeeds. Parallel to the three gunas, there are three types of human beings in this world. Punyatma, who imbibe the sattva guna, Papatma, who imbibe the tama guna, and others in the middle who imbibe raja guna, a mix of the sattva and the tama. Our master Dharmaraj is a part of everyone's conscience and alerts people regarding the suitability of their behavior. Ajamil ignored the warnings of his conscience when indulging in outrageous acts like lechery, deceit, and theft and cheating. His entire life became vitiated by tamaguna. We propose to carry him to Dharmaraj, who wields the staff of punishment in his hand, so that he can be salvaged by awarding him appropriate punishment for his sins. The divine messengers smiled. They said, "We respect you because you are the messengers of Yamaraj. who as Dharmaraj lays down the precepts of Dharma, and as Yamaraj decides who will die and when. However, Bhagwan, who has appointed Dharmaraj to award just punishments, has also decreed that an evil person can make amends for his misconduct. This is a message of hope for everyone. If you have done a wrong and you realize it and you improve upon your conduct, you can be salvaged. The divine is kind and compassionate. For the worst of human beings, he leaves a way out. There is none who is irrevocably doomed, like the sun that provides illumination without discrimination. What is simile? Bhagwan pardons the worst of offenders if they revert to him. Ajamil atoned for all his sins when, even if unintentionally, he called for Narayana repeatedly. God's name is twice blessed. It blesses him that remembers him in his hour of need, even if unknowingly. For those who utter God's name all the time, this provides eternal bliss. They live and die in Ananda. Their mind is purified on a continuous basis, and this guides their conduct towards the path of virtue. HariKirtan, chanting Hari's name, is a password to the realm of the good and the pure. This bhakti ras is available to the kings and their praja, to thieves and the licentious, and to the worst of offenders and sinners. In it lies their salvation. It is repentance for their evil deeds. We, therefore, ask you not to take Ajamil to Dharmaraj. Let him die in peace. By remembering Bhagwan, in this time of distress, he has repented his misdeeds. As fire burns even if someone inserts his finger unknowingly into a flame, HariKirtan destroys all sins even if done unknowingly. It is like a sip of Amrita that gives immortality, even if taken unwittingly. Let's chant the name of Hari. The story goes, Ajamil was spared Yama's noose. He regained consciousness, brought to the divine messengers who disappeared instantly. Legend has it that Ajamil was now a reformed man. I am a sinner who has been blessed by God, thought he. I ought to mend my ways. I had deserted my faithful wife, pure as the waters of Ganga. I spent my time in the company of a woman of low character, one who drank like a fish. I vow to spend the rest of my life for the welfare of others. I shall restrain my lust. I shall be friendly to everyone. Rising above the three gunas, Ajamil settled his mind in Bhagwan. He moved over to the river bank and spent the rest of his years in HariKirtan. Jai Hari, Jai Krishna, Jai Krishna, Jai Krishna.